There comes a time in your life when you stop entertaining chaos like it's a welcome guest. And that time should come around 60, if not earlier. Because by then you've learned the hard way that not every battle is yours to fight. Not every invitation to drama requires an RSVP, and not every person deserves front row access to your energy. You've spent decades being everything to everyone, showing up even when you were tired, explaining yourself even when it drained you, keeping the peace externally while your soul was screaming internally. But now it's time to choose a different way of being, a softer way, a freer way, a peaceful way. Choosing peace is not weakness. It's not avoidance. It's wisdom. It means you finally recognized what's worth your energy and what isn't. It means you no longer feel the need to defend your silence, to justify your boundaries, or to apologize for needing space. Some people won't understand. Let them misunderstand. They don't have your scars. They haven't carried your load. Peace looks like not picking up the phone when you know it's going to be a conversation that leaves you heavy. Peace looks like walking away from gossip that poisons the air. Peace looks like not showing up to every argument you're invited to. Because protecting your spirit is now more important than proving a point. And peace, let's be clear, is not about being passive. It's about being selective. It's about choosing your mental, emotional, and spiritual well-being over the exhausting performance of pleasing people who wouldn't lift a finger for you. It's about understanding that some connections, no matter how long you've had them, were built on your silence, not your truth. When you choose peace, you will be called selfish. You will be accused of acting different. They'll say, you've changed. And yes, you have. You've evolved. You've outgrown the need to fix everyone. You've stopped trying to be the emotional glue holding everyone else together. You are no longer the emergency contact for people who never showed up for you. That is not cold. That is clarity. Stop apologizing for saying no. Stop apologizing for not attending the event that drains you. Stop apologizing for unfollowing, for unplugging, for walking away. Stop apologizing for choosing peace over performance. Because the older you get, the more you realize silence can be a sanctuary. Solitude can be a blessing. And peace is the prize. Let others chase loud, empty validation. Let them stay addicted to the noise. You're not missing out on anything when you're protecting your joy, your calm, your presence. The real glow up after 60 isn't in the mirror. It's in the energy you refuse to sacrifice for chaos. Somewhere along the way, we were conditioned to believe that dreams have expiration dates, that after a certain age, after the kids are grown, after the career slows down, after the calendar fills with more doctor's appointments than dinner dates, we're supposed to settle. Stay still, stay safe, stay small. But that's not the truth. That's a lie dressed in fear. You see, there's something profoundly powerful about being in your 60s. You're not naive anymore. You don't have time to waste pretending. You're not guessing who you are. You know who you are. And that alone gives you permission to rewrite the story if you're brave enough to believe that it's not too late. It's not too late to reinvent yourself, to change directions, to try something you've always dreamed of, but never gave yourself permission to pursue. You can still paint, still travel, still dance, still fall in love with your own life in ways you never imagined. Because you are not behind. You are just beginning again. This time with wisdom in your heart and strength in your bones. Too many people give up on themselves because society tells them aging means fading. But let me tell you something. The sun doesn't lose its power just because it sets. It's just preparing to rise again, brighter and more certain. You are still rising, still becoming, still unfolding. There is no clock that determines the value of your life. The only timeline that matters is the one you choose to live by. Stop telling yourself that your best years are behind you. Your best years are the ones you decide to live fully. They're the years where you stop shrinking for comfort and start expanding for freedom. They're the years where you say yes to yourself without needing applause or permission. It's not too late to go back to school, not too late to start that business. It's not too late to heal what you thought was permanent pain. It's not too late to love more deeply. It's not too late to forgive yourself for the years you thought you wasted, because nothing is wasted if you learn from it. The world loves to glorify youth, but there is nothing more magnetic than a person who has lived, who has fallen and gotten back up, who carries stories in their wrinkles and power in their voice. You are not invisible. You are not obsolete. You are not done. Stop watching others from the sidelines and thinking that it's their season, not yours. Stop thinking the door is closed because it didn't open at the time you expected. There is no cutoff point for purpose. As long as you are breathing, you are becoming. As long as you are alive, you are allowed to want more, seek more, be more. Don't let age define what you're capable of. Let your desire do that. Let your curiosity do that. Let your courage do that. The fire in your soul doesn't retire just because the world says you're supposed to slow down. Maybe this is the season where you finally speed up in purpose, in joy, in truth. There is no such thing as too late when it comes to becoming fully unapologetically you. There's a kind of heartbreak that doesn't come from loud goodbyes or dramatic endings. It comes in silence, in the slow fade of people who once called you every day and now only remember you when they need something. It comes in the realization that someone you held close has slowly, steadily let go, and you were the only one still holding on. It's human nature to want to fix things. We hold on because we remember the good, the laughter, the memories. We convince ourselves that maybe if we love a little harder, give a little more, reach out one more time, they'll come back. They'll remember who you were to them. But there comes a time when you have to stop romanticizing potential and start recognizing patterns. You are not responsible for chasing people who choose to walk away. And you are certainly not required to keep a seat at your table for someone who no longer respects the invitation. Letting go is not giving up. It's waking up. It's understanding that clinging to someone who has emotionally or physically exited your life only delays your own healing. You can't force someone to value you. You can't keep watering relationships that don't water you back. Love is not meant to be one-sided. Friendships should not feel like a performance. Sometimes the people we lose are the lesson. They teach us how to love ourselves better. They show us what happens when we ignore our intuition. They reveal the parts of ourselves we still need to heal. But that doesn't mean they were meant to stay. Some people are seasonal, some are situational, and some were just spiritual mirrors showing us our wounds before they leave us to heal them on our own. Stop texting first every time. Stop trying to rekindle a connection that no longer fits the person you've become. Stop explaining your worth to people who never tried to understand you in the first place. Stop rereading messages that were never followed up with action. People who want to be in your life will show up without being begged. They will check on you without being reminded. They will make time, not excuses. And they will never leave you questioning your value. When someone lets go of you through distance, silence, or neglect, believe them. Let that truth set you free. Because the longer you hold on to people who've already let go, the heavier your heart becomes. You start questioning yourself. You start shrinking, thinking maybe you asked for too much. Maybe you were too much. But the truth is, you were simply too real for someone who wasn't ready. That's not your burden to carry. That's not your fault to fix. Healing begins the moment you stop chasing closure from people who never gave you clarity. You don't need to know why they changed. You don't need the final conversation. Sometimes the unanswered questions are the answer. Your life is not meant to be a museum of memories. It's a living, breathing, ever-evolving journey. And holding space for people who abandon you is like trying to grow a garden in soil that refuses to nurture you. It's time to reclaim your energy, to draw your strength back inward, to look around at who is showing up, and to stop grieving those who quietly chose to disappear. You don't owe anyone a permanent place in your heart just because they once made you smile. Some people were only meant to touch your life, not stay in it. And when they choose to walk away, the most powerful thing you can do is let them go gracefully, without bitterness, without begging. Because your worth isn't tied to who chooses you. You were never hard to love. They were just not equipped to receive your kind of love. Your body speaks long before it breaks, long before the diagnosis, the exhaustion, the aching knees, the stiff back, the sleepless nights. It whispers, it nudges, it gives signals, gentle ones, subtle ones, quiet ones. But for years you were too busy, too distracted, too selfless. You prioritized everyone else, your children, your spouse, your job, your obligations. And somewhere along the way, you stopped listening to your body because survival became more important than self-awareness. But now the noise of the world has quieted. The schedule isn't as packed, the race has slowed, and what remains is you standing face to face with the only place you'll ever truly live. Your body, when you reach your 60s, your body doesn't ask anymore. It insists what you once bounced back from in a day may take weeks now. What you used to ignore for the sake of pushing through becomes a barrier you can no longer step over. This isn't punishment. This is wisdom. It's your body lovingly demanding the care you kept delaying. That tightness in your chest after a stressful conversation. That pain in your hips after sitting too long without stretching. That fatigue that lingers even after a full night's rest. Those aren't coincidences. Those are messages. Your body's always speaking. The question is, are you listening? Stop dismissing discomfort as normal just because it's familiar. Stop calling exhaustion just getting older, when really it's your body asking for nourishment. Stop silencing pain with pills instead of asking where it's truly coming from. Your body remembers everything, every late night, every skipped meal, every word you swallowed, every boundary you broke for the sake of keeping the peace. The body doesn't lie. You may pretend things are fine, but your body tells the truth through tension, through fatigue, through illness. And if you don't listen to the whispers, it will eventually scream. Listen to what your knees are saying when you go up the stairs. Listen to your digestion after a meal. Your gut knows what's not right. Listen to the stiffness in your neck after a conversation that drains you. Your body feels your emotional truth before your mind admits it. This is not about being afraid of aging. It's about being awake to it. Aging doesn't mean decay, it means opportunity. Opportunity to slow down and become intimate with what your body needs. Maybe it's more water. Maybe it's less sugar. Maybe it's a morning walk. Maybe it's a nap without guilt. Maybe it's stillness. Maybe it's therapy. Maybe it's movement that feels like play, not punishment. Your body is not your enemy. It's not something to fight or fix. It's your home. It's your partner. And it has carried you through everything. Every heartbreak, every triumph, every season of survival. It has been with you through sleepless nights, births, funerals, moves, losses, loves, and it never gave up on you. So why do we keep giving up on it? Treat your body like the sacred vessel it is. Feed it with love. Move it with intention. Rest it without shame. Touch it with kindness. Speak to it with gratitude. It doesn't need to look like it did at 30. It just needs to feel cared for. It doesn't need to perform. It needs to be respected. So many people spend their entire lives ignoring their body's whispers, only to spend their final years trying to undo what could have been prevented with a little more attention, a little more compassion, a little more listening. There's a quiet kind of exhaustion that comes from constantly seeking validation, and most people don't even realize they're doing it. It starts small. You share a little piece of your dream, hoping someone will say, "Yes, that's a good idea." You change your outfit last minute because someone raised an eyebrow. You silence your truth because you're afraid of making someone else uncomfortable. And over time, you begin to measure your worth by the reactions you get, not by how you feel. After a while, you forget what you actually want because your choices have been filtered through other people's expectations. You dress a certain way, talk a certain way, live a certain way, not because it feeds your spirit, but because it keeps the peace. And peace that requires you to disappear is not peace at all. It's performance. Approval is a slippery thing. You think once you get it, you'll finally feel enough. But it doesn't last because people are inconsistent. Opinions shift like the wind. One day they love you, the next day they forget you. You can spend your whole life molding yourself into shapes to fit someone else's idea of who you should be and still feel empty. The need for approval often comes from an old wound. Somewhere in your story, someone made you feel like who you were wasn't enough. Maybe it was a parent, a teacher, a partner, a friend. And instead of healing, you learned to perform. You learned to earn love. You learned to chase applause. You convinced yourself that your value is something to be proven, not something to be owned. But you don't need to explain why you laugh too loud, why you cry when you're moved, why you take time for yourself, why you say no, why you walk away from things that no longer feel aligned. You don't need to keep trimming your personality just to fit into a box that was never meant for you in the first place. There's a certain freedom that comes when you stop asking, Will they like me? And start asking, do I like me? Because when you finally begin to like yourself, to trust yourself, to choose yourself, everything changes. You stop watering dead relationships. You stop saying yes when your soul is screaming no. You stop fearing silence because you found comfort in your own presence when you no longer live for approval. You begin to live in truth, and truth feels different. It's quieter. It doesn't beg. It doesn't chase. It just is. You walk differently when you're no longer trying to prove anything. You speak with more clarity because you're not searching for validation. You create with more joy because you're not waiting for applause. You love with more freedom because it's not coming from a place of need. It's coming from a place of overflow. You don't need everyone to agree with you. You don't need the crowd to cheer. You don't need to be understood by everyone to know that your life is meaningful. Some people will never get you, and that's okay. You weren't born to be universal. You were born to be authentic. Approval is a moving target. You'll exhaust yourself trying to hit it. One moment you're too much, the next you're not enough. One moment they admire your independence, the next they resent it. One moment they praise your strength, the next they say you're hard to love. You will never be consistently validated by people who are inconsistent within themselves. The older you get, the more sacred your energy becomes, and you start to realize you don't have to be liked by everyone to live a meaningful life. You don't need a crowd to feel seen. You don't need applause to walk in your purpose, because real confidence isn't loud. It doesn't come from being liked. It comes from being whole. So many people spend their entire lives bending, breaking, twisting themselves into versions they think the world wants, only to reach a point where they look in the mirror and don't recognize who they are anymore. Approval might win you a moment of acceptance, but authenticity builds a life that actually feels good to live. There's this idea we've been sold that joy is something we have to earn, that we have to wait for the right moment, the perfect timing, the accomplishment, the milestone. So we keep pushing it down the road like it's a reward we'll collect someday when everything finally feels right. We tell ourselves, I'll enjoy myself after the house is paid off. I'll celebrate once I lose the weight. I'll relax when the grandkids are older. And in doing that, we keep delaying our happiness like it's something we're not quite worthy of yet. But joy doesn't need a reason. It doesn't require a finish line. It doesn't live in the future. Joy is available right now in this moment, right here. It's in the warm cup of tea on a quiet morning. It's in the breeze coming through the window while you sit in stillness. It's in the sound of your favorite music playing while you cook your own dinner. It's in your own laughter, your memories, your freedom. You've spent enough years working hard, sacrificing, making sure everyone else was okay. You've given and given until you forgot what it felt like to simply receive. Not material things, but moments. Moments that were just yours. Moments not driven by productivity or obligation, but by presence. Somewhere along the way, you convinced yourself that taking time to enjoy life was selfish, that slowing down to savor something beautiful was wasting time, that pleasure was something to feel guilty about. But joy is not indulgence. It is medicine. It's healing. It's necessary. And it's not something that belongs only to the young or the lucky or the wealthy. It belongs to you too. Especially now, you don't need a reason to light the candle. You don't need a birthday to put on the nice outfit. You don't need a special occasion to sit outside and watch the sky change color. You don't need permission to smile, to laugh, to dance barefoot in your living room. Joy doesn't come wrapped in grand gestures. It lives in the ordinary if you're awake enough to notice. But most people aren't. They're too busy chasing a version of happiness that's always just out of reach, tied to something external. And when they finally get there, when they get the job, the money, the house, they realize they forgot how to be happy in the waiting. You are not here to simply survive the days. You're not here just to make it through the checklist. Life is not meant to be one long to-do list. It's meant to be felt deeply. And joy is the proof that you're living, not just existing. The danger of postponing joy is that you start believing it's optional. You start believing you don't need it. But joy is what makes all the effort worth it. It softens the edges of pain. It brings light into the darkest corners. It reminds you that you're still alive, still breathing, still capable of feeling good for no other reason than because your heart allows it. Stop telling yourself you'll be happy when things are perfect. Stop tying your joy to someone else's actions. Stop waiting for the storm to pass. Dance in the rain. Stop thinking joy is too small to matter. You don't have to be in a different season of life to feel joy. You don't have to wait for a break in the chaos. You don't have to fix everything before you allow yourself to smile. There will always be something unfinished, something uncertain, something out of your control. That doesn't mean joy can't exist here too, right in the middle of the mess, right in the middle of the ordinary, right in the middle of life as it is, not as you wish it would be. Because joy doesn't wait until you have it all together. It shows up the moment you decide you're allowed to feel it. There's a moment in life when you wake up and realize that the weight you're carrying isn't just on your back. It's in your mind, in your home, in your soul. It's not the years that make you feel heavy. It's the clutter, the emotional baggage you never unpacked, the things you've held on to long after they stopped serving you, the people you kept around out of guilt, the stories you kept replaying in your head like they still belong to your present, the drawers full of old birthday cards, the closets packed with clothes you haven't worn in decades, the kitchen cabinet with mismatched mugs from a life you no longer live. And yet you kept it all. You held on to it like you needed permission to let it go. But the truth is, clutter doesn't just take up space in your home, it occupies space in your spirit. Every unnecessary item, every toxic memory, every unresolved emotion, each one takes up room where peace could live, where clarity could breathe, where joy could flourish. You see, we often hold on to things because we're afraid to face what they mean. That coat from a version of yourself that no longer fits. That stack of letters from a love that left you broken. That voicemail you never deleted. That grudge you've carried for years. We store so much in our lives and in our hearts that we begin to believe the weight is part of who we are. But it's not. It's just what you've collected on the journey. And now it's time to clear the path. Let go of the physical things that no longer have meaning. Let go of the clothes that no longer feel like you. Let go of the paperwork, the junk, the old ideas of success you no longer believe in. You don't need more storage. You need less stuff. But more than that, let go of the emotional clutter too. The guilt you've been carrying for something that wasn't your fault. The anger that flares every time you hear that name. The old arguments that still play in your head like reruns. Let go of the apologies you never got. Let go of the closure you thought you needed. You don't have to carry every story. You don't have to keep every scar visible. You get to decide what stays and what gets released. And while you're at it, let go of the people who drain your energy. Let go of the need to fix what they broke. Let go of proving your worth to anyone who never saw it. You are not obligated to carry emotional clutter out of loyalty to the past. If it's costing you your peace, it's too expensive. Clearing clutter is not just about minimalism. It's about liberation. It's about creating room for what truly matters. Space to breathe, space to think, space to just be without all the noise and distraction. You don't need to fill every moment, every corner, every silence. Let simplicity find you. Let stillness feel safe. When your life is full of excess, you become numb to what's essential. You start to forget what actually brings you peace because you're too busy managing the chaos. But when you begin to release what no longer belongs, you start to remember yourself, the version of you that feels light, clear, grounded, aligned, not buried beneath piles of things and feelings you don't even want anymore. Your soul doesn't want more things. It wants more space. It wants space to breathe, space to dream, space to feel joy without guilt, to cry without shame, to rest without explanation. And you get to give yourself that space by letting go of what you no longer need to carry. You don't need to be surrounded by everything you've ever owned to feel secure. And you don't need to keep replaying everything you've ever been through to feel real. You are not the clutter. You are the clarity waiting underneath it all. So here you are, wiser, stronger, softer in some places, sharper in others. You've lived through storms that tried to break you, and still you rise. This chapter of your life isn't about holding on. It's about letting go. It's about releasing the noise, the pressure, the weight of expectations that no longer belong to you. You are not running out of time. You are standing in the middle of it with the power to shape how the rest of your story feels. You don't need to do more. You need to feel more. Laugh more. Breathe more. Protect your energy like it's gold because it is. And remember, happiness is not something you chase at the end of a long road. It's something you create with every step you take. From this moment forward, you've earned the right to live your life on your own terms. And now it's time to start living like it.